Hi, book lover. Welcome to your library, our library. It's all about funding the reading culture. We are street accredited and corporate certified. Today, on the library in the channel, we have a very, very special guest. He is a brother to me and is a man I truly respect and like very much. So, to use DJ, to use DJ Afro's word, nitawatoa moja kwa moja kutoka hapa Kenya twende all the way to Finland and meet this great man. Karibu sana.
Thank you, David. Hey, your introduction now. Am I really deserving of all that? Thank you so much for having me on the channel. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is James Kiarie. Me and Devi, we go way back. It's so many years, more than we have known each other. I would say for more than 20 years.
Sure.
Depending on how old we are, that's when we know each other. And I would say we have known each other all our lives.
Wow. Hmm.
I'm happy with what David is doing. The culture of reading, it's very important. There is a unknown human somewhere who once said, a reader before they die, they have lived 1,000 lives. And I know that is true
Sure.
because I'm also a passionate reader, and it has changed my life for the better. And I'm very glad with what David is doing, encouraging people and shining a very good light, positive light on the reading culture. So I'm happy to be here. It's my pleasure. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, James, and welcome. Okay, maybe I not plan to share this, but I'll share this. The memory I have about you, I have so many great memories about you, but during that time, many years back, like 10 years back, when you used to come at our house and tap at my bedroom's window and I would get out and we'd go to exercise. I think back then we didn't have phones or something. Because if you had phones, you could just call me and we meet outside the gate. But you'd come and tap at my bed was pahari juu, so you'd tap, get out and we'd go to exercise. Yeah. So
I have very clear memories of the many times I came to tap on your window.
yeah, yeah, and it's something that I really cherish, and I think from that exercising routine, I adopted this we call the mountain run, the hill run. So anytime I do the hill run, yeah, I usually remember those moments. So glad to have you, man. So the first question is, when did you develop that passion or that culture for reading?
That's a good question. I would say reading hasn't always been something that I have found interesting,
Okay.
and this remained true until high school when we started doing our set books.
Okay.
I think this was the first experience of being immersed in reading, which wasn't, by the way, it wasn't out of my own free will. It was a must for the sake of the exams, English exams and Swahili exams.
Sure.
But from these set books, I remember we read Merchant of Venice, and it was unbelievable, how deep you could get absorbed into a story, almost to a point of seeing yourself walking in the streets, going to the merchant and him demanding a pound of flesh if you would not be able to pay, you
Ish.
know. And I remember coming back, and this is where actually my passion of reading began, and from there on, then I started becoming a frequent visitor to the school's library, where I ended up finding myself in John Keriamete's famous book, My Life in Crime
Mhm.
and My Life in Prison, and it was also interesting. It was a very interesting bubble,
Mhm.
and it was a bubble that you you would learn to kind of see in the eyes, walk in the walk the walk how the writer wanted you to see it, and then you would experience how different writers wanted you to to feel and experience their lives through storytelling or their storytelling skills. So this is how I developed a passion of reading, and I must say from that point I have always thought a good article, a good book, I'm always happy to be reading something. It's my good it's a good getaway for me.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of John Kiriamete, yeah, those books, My Life in Crime, My Life with a Criminal, yeah, especially to a teenager, those stories were fascinating.
Yeah,
they brought a new world to teenagers back then. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
They would leave me my jaw dropped. What
Mm.
this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy he decided to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Reading those books was akin or is akin to watching action movie. Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes.
They're action packed.
It's more than that. It's
It's,
more than that.
it's more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Do you have like a reading schedule?
Not really. I don't have any reading schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I just read. I just read whenever I can,
Mm-hmm.
and because I love reading, I I must I would be happy to say that I read 6 days per week.
Wow, 6 days.
Yes, 6 days per week, and of course this depends. It could be as short as a 10-minute read to
Uh-huh.
1 hour or 2 hours,
Okay.
reading.
Mm-hmm.
And of course now when I talk about reading, I don't want to to kujiweka juu sana, nasomanga sana. Well, I can say that since I found audiobooks,
Mm-hmm.
that is how I am able to. I have a goal of reading at least 12 books per year, so one book per month.
Mm-hmm.
And because as a parent, with work, it's hard to find that time. I know people who are parents who have small children can know what I'm talking about. That it's hard to find that time to just uh, go to your corner and read every day.
Yeah.
So how I make sure that I get time to read, I will either listen to audiobooks on my commute or my drive to work, which is half an hour. So if I do half an hour in the morning, either I listen to a book in the morning and maybe a podcast in the evening. So in that way, I'm able to do this. If I'm working 5 days per week, I will have read or listened to the book for at least half an hour every day. So that's how I'm able to read, or rather listen to books on a daily basis.
Mm. Yeah, I'm impressed by when you say that you read six days a week. I think there's that consistency. Yeah, so which is a wonderful thing. Which reminds me of a post or a meme I saw online about short-term intensity and long-term something about long-term consistency. So yeah, that's a nice strategy. Yeah, rather than not reading maybe for a month, then when the next month you read like two books, three books. Yeah, yeah, I
No,
admire. Yeah, yeah,
it
mm,
needs to be. You need to be consistent. You need
yeah.
to be consistent.
Mm,
Even if on a day you are just going to read 10 minutes, it's
mm,
still it's still worth it,
mhm.
and it counts, because that consistency, it turns to a habit, and then
Sure.
when you have that habit, you don't even realize it, or you don't even need to think about, hey, lazima nisome tena, you don't need to think about that. It comes so it comes so naturally that for a long time I haven't even thought like, I'm going to read. No, because it's something that I do, that I do on a daily basis. So it has grown into a part of my daily routine, my everyday. So it just comes naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, I admire that when you say that reading is part of your routine, and when you talk about habit, because as the saying goes that a man makes a habit, then the habit makes a man. Yeah. So I truly admire that. The next question is, which books have really impacted your life, and how did they impact your life?
Well, just maybe to name a few. Uh, One of the books that I can say that I actually read it last year was Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime.
Mhm.
I felt it had so much weight, and I could relate to the book in so many ways. Uh, Trevor growing up in a segregated South Africa, in a place where he was probably seen as, an alien, and
Mhm.
he was looked down upon. And I'm not talking about Kenya. I'm talking about having moved from Kenya abroad to a place where majority of the people are Caucasians, they're white, and you're black. When I listen to this book, it's it felt like you should not let where you are define your direction in life. You
Mhm.
should not let people's words
Mhm.
put you down.
True.
Their opinion is their opinion.
Mhm.
You have to pursue. You have to move forward, no matter what. You have to move forward, no matter what. Don't be afraid of using your skills. If you have skills, if you can sing, if you can talk, if you are good at public speaking,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be
True.
afraid to use your gifts. And I think it speaks for itself if you think about where Trevor Noah is right now. He has one of the biggest talk shows in America. So
Mm.
that speaks for itself. Another book that I felt that really talked to me was Michelle Obama, Becoming. It was also quite a very good book for me. It goes on the same lines with Born a Crime, that you should not let your circumstances define you, and you should not hide your face in the face of oppression.
Mhm.
I think Michelle Obama, being the first black first lady of the United States, she really made a mark for herself, not
Mm.
just as a first lady, not just as a wife of a president, but as a person who had her own principles, who had her own goals, who had her own vision. She has stood up against oppression. She has stood up, and I mean, when I talk about oppression, is against, I think during her time, because she also followed her dreams, and she didn't just hide in the shadow. Oh, my husband is the first black president, so I'm just gonna stay back here, bask and enjoy the life of being a first lady.
Mm.
Instead of doing that, she took it to herself to address the issue of equality,
Mm.
with equality in the workplace, that women and girls were being treated the same. She took a stand on the kind of food that the children were being served in schools, because this is a very big problem in the West. People are obese, and basically it's because of the things that are put in the food. And she started this in her own home. Her own kid was having a problem with diet. What she did, she was the first person to start a vegetable garden in the White House. So she really started from home, like they say. Charity begins at home, and she took that from the home and took it nationwide. And from her book, she is also coming. She's also coming from a place where women are seen to be more like lower than men. In a place where a woman would try and speak, and she people will look at her like, what are you even saying? Even despite her being a trained lawyer, in from Harvard, she still faced these things. But what is amazing is how she rose through all this. People still talk. People said that she was even trying to overshadow Barack Obama. But she was not trying to overshadow Barack Obama. She was just shining in her own glory, doing what she was good at, utilizing what she had and the power that she had to stand up, and not just for herself. She would have, if she wanted to stay just a comfortable life, traveling and have a good life, she would have done it. But she didn't want to do that because people are suffering, and she was in a place of power, and she could actually do something. She stood up and she spoke against the oppression that that people were facing. When I listened to this book, and it was a long book because I think it was around 16 hours, and it was a very, very, very long book, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. I think another book, Peaceful Warrior. There is a book called Peaceful Warrior. It's by Dan Millman. So Dan Millman is one of the most accomplished I don't know whether you call them gymnasians or gymnastics. An individual who has excelled well in the sport of gymnastics.
Okay.
And his book is it touched me so much. When you think about Peaceful Warrior, even the title in itself, talked volumes. And I remember one of the things that I remember well was there was a story in this book that there was two neighbors, and one of the neighbors had a horse. The horse ran away, and the neighbor said, "How unfortunate." The old man who owned the horse said, "Well, good luck, bad luck, I don't know." After a few weeks, the horse came back with wild horses, 5 wild horses. The neighbor said, "Wow, good luck." The old man once again said, "Good luck, bad luck, I don't know." The old man had a son. The son went to train one of the wild horses, fell and broke his leg. The neighbor again said, "How unfortunate." The old man said again, "Good luck, bad luck." After a while, the war broke out, and soldiers were coming to recruit all the boys from the village. And when they found the old man's son, his leg was broken, so he was of no use to him. While they took the neighbor's sons, the old man's son was spared. And again, the neighbor said, "Wow, how lucky are you?" And the man said, "Good luck, bad luck, I don't know." Anyway, to cut the story short, the moral of this lesson was, nothing or everything in life, everything you go through happens for a reason. And I think we've talked about this briefly, that sometimes you go through some difficult situations and you will think, "Man, why is this happening? I'm so unfortunate, I'm so unlucky." But in the future, if you fast forward maybe even months or years, then, as you said, the stars start to align. You start to understand why things happen. So everything happens and happens for a reason. And yeah, this book, this is a book I would actually really recommend. It also dives into like spirituality, and like talking to the divine, talking to God, meditating, about being present, and this is where you are right now. What happened yesterday, it doesn't really matter. What you do right now, it will define your past and it will define your future. What this means, if you are present right now, tomorrow when you think about yesterday, you're going to be happy because you know you will have done your best, you will have given it everything because you are present. So yeah, it's a very interesting book that I would really recommend. I think they even made a movie about that. I think I watched that a few years ago. And yeah, it's a very interesting book. And do I have time to mention one more book?
Yeah, you have the time. You have all the time. Yeah.
Well, the other book that has been very very influential in my life is the Bible. It has impacted my life so much, and more now that I'm an adult, and I have taken upon myself to really do, delve into the holy book and to read it and to understand it, as opposed to kusoma CRE juu ya exam.
Mhm.
As a Christian, you find 1,000 Kenya shillings. As a Christian, what would you do? Everybody was lying. but
Uh,
now, but anyway,
mm.
as a grown up, reading the holy book, I realized.
As a Christian, I think I should tithe the 10%. Then,
Yes, yeah,
mm,
but yes, the holy book has impacted my life so much, uh, because you realize how good the love of God is, and how important it is to pray, how important it is to trust in the Lord at all times, not just to give thanks when things are going well, lakini mashida zikikuja unatupilia hiyo story mbali and you start asking God, why are you doing this to me? While at the same time what you might be facing might be something very minute, and it might be something that comes out of desire. For example, you might lose a job and you might be very bitter at God, but at the same time you
mm,
forget that you are breathing, your heart is
sure,
beating, you are standing on your feet.
true.
Probably, you are lucky enough you still have a home. you know
Mm,
at that point there is so many things to give thanks about. And
sure.
the holy book has a lot of good instructions, and I think nowadays we see like there's a very big rise with mental health illnesses. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, and of course this could be because of other things. I'm not saying everything is because of one cause, but one thing that can help you to deal and with these kind of things, not to avoid, because praying and believing in God doesn't help you avoid these things. Like Meshach and Abednego, when they were thrown in the fire, God did not protect them from being thrown in the fire. He
True,
helped them when they were in the fire.
true. Mm,
When they looked, they saw 4 people dancing,
mm,
instead of 3 people who were
mm,
thrown into the fire.
mm,
So anyway, coming back to mental health, depression, and
mm,
anxiety.
mm,
When you have God in your life, when you have God working with you, He will help you to get through that situation.
mm,
Even if you are jobless, and you trust in the Lord, Mungu atakuwa na wewe. When you prepare your CV to apply for the next job, He'll be with you. You won't need to burden yourself carrying
mm,
all those problems all by yourself.
true.
you know
Mm,
as opposed to nowadays there's a lot of I won't go so much into that, but I think there is like new age religion.
mm,
People are diving into things, Eastern beliefs of spirituality, where people are diving into the law of attraction. People are taking mushrooms and other LSDs.
mhm,
They want to reach the God the God
Mm.
consciousness, Christ's consciousness, and things like this. And of course, these are things that these are things we don't understand, and they just lead you away from the Word of God. And at the same time, if you think about it, if somebody is trying to become like Lord, like God, that means they are gonna carry all their problems, they are gonna do everything. And of course, I think this has a very direct correlation with the rise in anxiety and depression and all these kind of things. Again, I don't want to go so much
Mm.
into that topic, but yeah, the the Bible I would highly recommend for
Mhm.
everyone. I would highly recommend for everyone. It has so much good advice, and almost all the problems, all the solutions to our problems, you will find a solution to the Bible. You'll find something either to give you comfort or to guide you away. It goes a long way. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop there with the with the books.
Okay, maybe you can continue. But before you continue, when in the introduction I said that this is a man that I respect so much, at least now I can substantiate that. You know, most of the books that we usually read and most of the books that are readily available, they are books from the Western world. I have nothing against the Western world. I think even the language I'm speaking now, the language you're speaking, is something from the Western world. So there's the positive impact. But I think most of these books, the authors, they usually don't mention about God. They don't mention about the holy book. They talk about the universe. You know, like they want to accommodate so many people. They want to accommodate everyone. They want to be politically correct. But I'm proud of you that despite the fact that you're now even in the Western world, you don't sugarcoat it. You speak it as it is. You mention about God, the Bible, yeah, and you also yeah continue.
I can say I can say it has been a journey. It has been a journey
Yeah.
to get here. To openly to openly talk about my faith,
Mhm.
and without fear of judgment, because of course everybody has their opinion, and everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe. Everybody has the right to worship whatever they want to worship, and in that I don't see why to I would not share and speak about what I believe in, because this is it's something that I have experienced. This is like it's something that I have experienced.
Mhm.
Uh, this love and the power of God, and what it can do, what it can do for you. And when people hear about these kind of things, they think like, huyu mtu hajakula mashida, huyu ni nini anaongelea. Oh, I
Mm.
have had my share.
Mhm.
I have had my share, and
Mm.
uh, uh, through all that, through all that, uh, I can still say, like God is good. You know, God
Mm.
is good.
Mm. Yeah, in the video where I was talking about the books that we could send to our younger self. Yeah, I was surprised when you mentioned the Bible, but now I'm not surprised anymore.
Why
Uh,
were you surprised?
okay, when I speak to people when I speak to people who are in the Western world, and maybe based on the books that I've read, they people nowadays tend to not to talk about religion, Bible, God, and such kind of stuff. Like it's a no go zone topic. Like sijui kama
Yeah,
nashika vile
I would
nasema, yeah.
understand why.
Mm,
I would understand why, because even here in Finland,
mm,
Finns don't people don't talk openly about religion.
yeah.
People don't openly talk about religion, and of course, even for myself, uh, it's not living here is not something that I would, bring up in the first conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Bring up in the first conversation if we talk about
Mm,
somebody. I think back home, Kenya, it's so easy, utakutana na mtu na atakwambia bwana asifiwe, but people tell you bwana asifiwe, and
Mhm.
some of them have their motives,
Yeah.
some of them
Mm.
have their motives. But
Mm.
anyway, here
Mm.
in the West, people don't talk much,
Mhm.
people don't talk much about religion so
Mm.
openly.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next question is, what's your last read and what's your current read?
The last read, the last book I read was called The Perfect Day to Boss Up. It's a book by Rick Ross. Uh,
Hmm.
everybody knows who Rick Ross is.
Yeah.
It's a book by
Mm.
Rick Ross. And of course, in this book, he dives a bit into who he is and the journey he has taken. Apart from being a hip hop artist, he's a very, very accomplished businessman
Mm-hmm.
who owns a lot of businesses, a lot of fast food joints,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of venues, and a big home where he rents people to have shows and
Mm-hmm.
shoot videos and have weddings.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting read because it made me actually see Rick Ross in a new light, because actually in his book, like he said, most people don't actually talk about God, but Rick Ross would be the last person you'd expect would be like talking about God, but he's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about God. He's
Mm.
talking about God and
Mm.
saying how good God has been to him,
Mm.
and talking about how you shouldn't. I think he talks about in the business how people are greedy, how people who own producers and people who own record labels. He owns one record label, and he said that people steal from their artists, and he was saying, like how wrong that is, and he would never do that to anybody, and it made me see him in a new light.
Mm.
And of course, there was a few good tips about bossing up, about business wise.
Mm.
So yeah, that was the last book I read. And at the moment, I am reading Will. So this is Will Smith's memoir,
Mm.
and yeah, it's very interesting. I'm halfway,
Mm.
and again, when you read or listen to this book and him tell about his life, then again you get to see him as a different person
Mm.
other than what you thought.
Mm.
You come to understand that there is a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency, and also Will Smith is talking about God. He's talking about
Mm.
God in the beginning of the book. He's talking about him actually playing the piano in church, and how the grandmother was pushing him and helping him in the church and stuff. And it's it's very it's a very interesting and mind opening books. It's good to you get to take a few tips here, a few good tips from here and there about discipline. Growing up, you hear people say like, yeah, maybe before nifikisha miaka 30 nataka kukuwa millionaire. Lakini if you look, mtu anaamkanga saa 10, mtu anaamkanga saa 10, mtu anaamka 10. Na ukikuwa millionaire unaamka 10. Unasomanga bana, unatafuta kazi bana, unatengeneza CV bana, nayo
Ah.
millionaire utaipata wapi? You know?
Speaking of being a millionaire, umenirudisha mbali. I remember, I'll not mention the company's name. I joined this network marketing stuff, and we used to be hyped up that leta huyu mtu mwingine, form a team, then in 3 months time you'll be earning hundred of thousands. In 6 months time you'll be you'll be a millionaire. Do you remember me dragging you to that place?
Yes, I know the place. I remember seeing you that meeting, and I walked out feeling like, wow, this is the place. This is the turning
Huh?
point.
Mm? Mm? Wow, 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 wow. Ah, anyway, nimekumbuka mbali.
Yeah.
And, and from the book that you are mentioning, I think you have a thing for reading celebrity books from Trevor Noah, Rick Ross, Will Smith. Yeah.
Actually,
Mm,
it's I just I think one thing leads to another, and of course nowadays there is the algorithm, but is
mm,
if you listen to one person, if you listen to
mm,
Rick Ross, I listened to Rick Ross first, then it pointed me to Will Smith. But for Will Smith, I actually started by watching. He has a small series. I think it's called Best Shape Ever. He
mhm,
was trying to, because he alikuwa amejiachilia,
mm,
and he wanted to get in the best shape of his life.
mm,
But then I won't talk so much about this for people who have not watched the series and they want to watch it. But yeah, then during the shooting of this series, then it came, it was revealed, or Will Smith himself, kind of almost tapped out
mm,
from this whole thing because he realized this is not just about the physical aspect of my life.
mhm,
It's not just about getting back to losing weight na kupoteza kautambi. It was more about, putting back
mm,
realigning his mind and his body and his
mhm,
spirit.
mm.
So that series is what led me to this. And of course, they are successful people. Will
Yeah,
Smith
sure.
is very successful in his in, in
True.
his in his own craft. So it's just a curiosity to want to know how and hawa watu wamefika hapa aje,
Mm,
and what it takes.
mm.
So yeah. Yeah, I just realized I actually have a few celebrities here and there.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the final question in this segment: what's your bucket list in terms of reading?
My bucket list. I have actually one book. It's called Transformed, and it's by a guy called Remy Adeleke. Remy Adeleke is originally he's from Nigeria. His mom was American, and his father was Nigerian. And Remy Adeleke is one of the most decorated guys in. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL who turned into an actor. He has acted in one of the Transformers movies. He's
Mhm,
one of the soldiers who
mm,
is there with in Transformers. And apart from that, yeah, he's also a producer. He's a script writer. And what directed me to him was, even despite achieving all these things, he had a very rough childhood. He had a very rough childhood. This was based on some things that I read, articles and stuff about him that
mm,
led me actually to this book. And Transformed, as you can tell
mhm,
from the title, he found himself in a place where he had everything.
mhm,
And by everything, I'm talking about materialistic point of view.
mhm,
He had everything. He
mhm,
had the money, he had the cars, he had the house, he had the girls, but his
mhm,
life was still a mess.
mhm,
So yeah, Transformed is about how he found his way back to the Lord, back to God, and
mhm,
how he transformed his life.
mhm.
That is the next one on
Okay.
the list.
Mhm.
And then another one is How to Break Up with Your Phone. How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price.
Wow, an interesting title.
So, so you can tell from the title, of course, we are a generation of tunakuanga hivi. Eh?
Mhm.
Si tunakuanga hivi. we,
Yeah,
we spend so much time on our
sure.
phones,
Mm.
scrolling, and not everything in the in the in the in the in the web, in the social media is positive. So it will be interesting to see what she has to say about this.
Mm.
Yeah, I think those are the two books at the moment that I'm thinking of reading.
Talking of the phone, sometimes hata nasikianga nikaa phone inalia but like nasikia nikaa phone inalia tu. I don't know if it's a
Ni kuzoea, si ni
eh,
kuzoea
mm,
when I talked about Dan Spielman, Dan Millman's book
Mm.
about being aware, being
Mm.
in the moment.
Mm.
It's so hard nowadays to be in the moment
Sure.
because kama simu
Mm.
simu yako kila
Mm.
wakati ina vibrate
Mm.
notifications za kutoka Facebook, za kutoka Instagram, za
Mm.
kutoka wapi, you can't even concentrate.
Mm.
So even when it's not really
Mm.
ringing, and I have an experience with that,
Mm.
wakati mwingine nasikia ni kama simu yangu ina vibrate
Mm.
because I'm so used to its vibrating.
Mm.
There is so many notifications
Mm.
coming through, you know.
Mm.
It's because the tabia, even
Mm.
before it happens, you are
Mm.
already anticipating that it's
Mm.
gonna happen.
Mm. And
At least
endless,
that's what I think.
yeah, and endless links, like hata kuwa kwa a certain site umeamua watch something ama kitu from there, there's another link na kudirect to another link to another place, and yeah.
Exactly. That's
Mm.
why you can
Mm.
find yourself
Mm.
browsing for hours on end.
Yeah, sure. Mm. And I think Trevor Noah mentions about that in his book Born a Crime. He talks about the the times that someone spends on. He compares hustling to, what do you call it? The time someone spends surfing the net, if you can spend it maybe reading, he says that he could even have had an MBA.
Of
Mm.
course, of
Mm.
course, of course, and it's true. And I think
Mm.
nowadays our phones have they have, so you can download softwares
Mm.
that can monitor how much you're on your phone
Mm.
and how much you're on social media. I had once on, and it showed that I was scrolling for 5 hours. 5 hours is a long
Wow.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
Five
yeah.
hours is a long, long time. And
Mm.
if you ask me, that is a waste of time. That is a waste
Mm.
of time. Time that you could use reading, time that you could use maybe even walking out, taking some sun, or reading, or even making a CV for that matter, you know.
5 hours. It's almost more than one full day a week.
I'm telling you,
Wow, wow, wow. That's a lot.
5 hours,
Yeah.
5 hours, 5 hours.
Mm.
That's why probably you see I
Mhm.
have how to break up with your phone.
Yeah.
Nowadays I don't scroll. I don't. I'm not a big scroller, but I just want to hear
Mm.
what the book is about.
Yeah. Thank you. We have come to end of part one. Now the second part is some questions that I picked from the internet. I scrolled through the internet about Finland. Then I will ask you these questions, and you tell me your view if you agree or not. Okay. The first thing that I read about Finland is that Finland is the happiest country in the world. I remember also reading this in 2019 in one of our local newspaper. So maybe you can tell me, I'll not ask if that's true. You can tell me, or you can give us the tips for what makes Finland a happy country.
What makes Finland a happy country? Well, I would say because when I saw that result, I was very curious to know what was behind that. And of course, this is based on, like the general satisfaction general satisfaction of the population on certain certain issues, so they look at, for example, how satisfied people are by the way the current government is running things, how the current government is handling, is spending the money, how services are working, how the hospitals are working, how close services are, how the transportation is working. I can say, if the bus schedule says the bus will be there at 7:30, it will be there at 7:30.
Mhm.
So of course people are happy with things like that. If you have to go to a doctor, and you don't have to wait for many days before you can get an appointment, of course that's one thing to measure satisfaction and how people are. As a people, of course, if you would come here, uangalie watu kwa street, you look at people in the street and you compare, especially if you are just fresh from Kenya, you would wonder why they would say Finland is the happiest country.
Mhm.
Because you are walking down the street in Kenya, you are bound, strangers will smile at you, it's very normal that strangers will smile at you. People will be laughing out loud. People will be, that is not Finland. So if you come here and just look at, that superficial picture, you would wonder why they would say Finland is the happiest country. That it's very safe, services work so well, the social welfare works so well, so people are satisfied. People are satisfied, and when they talk about happiness, when they talk about the happiest country in the world, then it's hard to think, okay, from what, based on what are they saying that the happiest people. But yes, there is things are working, things are working quite quite well here. So yes, I can agree in that case that yes, it's the happiest country in the world.
Ah. I don't know if nimekupata poa, but I think from your explanations, like happiness and satisfaction are two different things.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I'm usually happy like nikikunywa yogurt ama nikikula queen cake, but I'm never truly satisfied. Like your yogurt. uh,
I get you. I get
yeah.
you. I get you.
Huh?
Uh,
Also something else, and I like that when you may explain, because exactly when you may explain, that's what I read from the internet. I'm glad I'm getting it from you. Also, they mentioned that despite having extreme weather conditions, but these people are, they are like content. It's like people know winter will come, they are content with that, and they prepare for winter. I don't know.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I remember when I moved here, and I asked one Finn, "Do you ever get used to this?" They say because it was in the winter, it was like negative 32 degrees. I'm not lying.
Mm.
That was that was 2012 in Western Finland in a city named Kokkola. It was minus 32 degrees in the winter.
Uh,
And this person told me, there is nothing you can do about the weather.
mhm.
All you can do, if it's cold, dress according to the weather. You know, just wear something warm.
Mm.
You can't change the weather. There are some things you can't. There are some things you can't change. And she said, yes, you can't get used to it. No one
Mm.
gets to minus 32 degrees.
Mm.
Yeah.
Your comment has triggered something. I would say it. I don't know if it will be politically correct or not. In Kenya, it's unfortunate that sometimes what we can't change, you see, like that situation of weather, you can't change the weather, but you can accept
No.
it. But in Kenya, sometimes what we can change, we don't change, but we complain about what we can't change. For example, in August, the elections are coming, but people have not yet registered as voters. So
Yeah.
that is something you can change. Maybe that one vote can make a change, but
Of course.
but you see, we don't. Like some people have not even registered as voters. Yeah, so that's quite unfortunate.
Yes,
Mm,
but
mm.
I think we are headed somewhere. I think we are headed something somewhere positive.
Yeah.
Somewhere positive with that. I think people are waking up to the younger generation are waking up to the reality that we are able to change this.
Mhm.
The people who we elect are there for our service. We
Mm,
elect them. We have power as the people
mm,
because we are the ones who voted them.
mm,
So of course every ballot counts, and I think people are waking up to that, and it's very positive. And I think in the future we are going to be seeing some positive change in that regard.
okay. Yeah, thank you for your insight. The other fun fact is 75% of parents read aloud to their children. Then the article went ahead to say that it's a practice proven to establish a good reading habit early on. So I want to know if you are part of the 75%.
Of course I am. Of course I am. I read to my baby almost every day. If not me, then the mother. And then just to add on that, when you go to the clinic, for the child, you actually, I think the baby was around 6 months, and I had gone to take the baby for a checkup, and there was one non-government, one NGO that had given free books for the parents to read to their children. That means every parent who goes with their child to that clinic or to any other clinic that is owned by the government, they get books to read to their children.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, and keep up that spirit together with the mother. Read for the kid, kabisa. That's a good spirit. That's a good habit, in fact. Then the other fact that I read is that 77% of the population buys at least a book a year. So my question is, how many do you buy in a year?
At least more than 12. At least more than 12.
Okay.
I try to read. I try to read at least one book every month. So
Mhm.
at least 12 books in a year,
Mhm.
either bought or borrowed from
Mm.
somebody.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that's the end of that Nini.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I think I lost this.
Oh, oh, the final question is nonfiction. No, it's not a question. I just want to hear your opinion on that. Nonfiction is the reading category followed by textbooks. Like in terms of books sold, nonfiction is the leading category, followed by textbooks. Still on that, they also said that writing is ranked among the most respected professions in Finland. So maybe you can comment on that as we wind up.
If I understood well, that non-fictional
Mm,
books are the second highest sold after textbooks.
the highest are the reading,
Non-fiction are the leading.
followed now by textbooks.
Aha. So by non-fiction, we are talking about books about self-improvement. Yes, I think that this is part of it's part of this new age. This new age. I think nowadays we hear people talking about becoming a better version of yourself.
Hmm.
That is something we are hearing more and more often.
Mm.
As opposed to the older generation was more about kuchapa kazi, kuchapa kazi, kuchapa kazi. Nowadays, this generation
Yeah,
is more about finding purpose, doing something
true.
with meaning.
Mm.
So, in pursuit of that, people also are seeking to educate themselves and to read more books that would help them to grow towards this goal. May it be uh, time management, proper diet, proper exercise, meditation, name it all those things, all those books fall into the category of non-fictional. And I would say that most of the books that I read myself are non-fictional.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you so much for your time. I think time is running out, but it was a pleasure having you here. And I hope we can have you back in future. Yeah. So to my audience, this is an amazing, amazing man. He's a great man. He can speak 6 languages. But in the future, yeah. I read somewhere that in US, if you can speak more than 2 languages, you are considered a genius. Now James can speak 6 languages, so I think he's super super genius. So in future he will share a video speaking those languages. But for today, that is it. Maybe we can end up by you telling my audience in in Fin to like, to subscribe, and to share the videos in the channel as we wind up now. And any last remarks that you have, the floor is yours.
it was a big pleasure
All
to be
mine.
here with you. You are a great mind. I
Mm.
admire what you do.
Thank you.
You encourage me to pursue other things and to become also a better person. And that's why I'm here, because I'm following your channel. I like what you're sharing, and I would just encourage more people out there. You know what to do. Like this video, comment. Feedback is very important, and also share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you love reading or you're thinking about reading, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. Start small. This is the channel you want to be. And in Finnish, tiedätte mitä pitää tehdä.
Mm-hmm.
Tykkää, jätä kommentti,
Mm-hmm.
jakaa ystävälle, kaikille. Tavataan täällä. David, jakaa hyvää tietoa. Short is just what I said in English. So, like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. At least I've picked one word there. Enter comment.
Yes, comment, leave a comment.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Continue watching.